What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Basketball Buddies Pod. It is February 13th, last night of the NBA regular season before the All-Star break. Here we go. Caden, how we doing tonight?
Doing good. Some good slate of games tonight. Looking forward to watching that before going into the All-Star break and getting some much needed rest from my team. So,
Yeah, I think at this point in the season, every team could use a little bit of rest, some more than others. So definitely Dallas is one of those teams that needs it. So,
yeah.
but before we get into Dallas and OKC, remember to like, comment, subscribe, comment, find us on X, Instagram, TikTok. We're posting reels. We're posting our long videos on YouTube. Like, reach out to us. We want to talk to y'all. We want to talk ball, talk about all the latest news in the NBA. So, without further ado, Caden, what has been going on with the Dallas Mavericks as of late?
Okay. So, obviously PJ Washington and Max Christie last time we talked on Sunday were questionable. We knew Anthony Davis wasn't going to play before the All-Star break. Um, Kind of was hoping we'd see PJ at least one of these games before the All-Star break, but he's been out all week. First game against the Kings. Kings fully healthy roster. Obviously, we were um, down six or seven players in that game, and then just worst possible case scenario happens, and our one, kind of guy we've been leaning on this year, Daniel Gafford, goes down with a knee sprain in the first half. It just killed the momentum for our team as well, and um, you know, we saw Jason Kidd out there trying a bunch of different lineups, and we have no center on the roster besides Kyler Kelly, who is the worst player on the roster. So we can't play him consistently. So we battled the Kings all night. That healthy Kings team, we battled them all night, choked it away. We just gave up into the fourth quarter run and let them come back in it. We tie, go to overtime, and we take the lead, and then we give up. DeMar DeRozan drives baseline, splits the double team, shoots a floater. Rest is history. We lose by 2 points. Before that play happened, I wanted to talk a little bit about Jason Kidd. After the game, Jason Kidd didn't speak with the media, and what he said the other night was that he was basically just he was pretty miserable. It sounded like he was pretty down about the situation of Gafford going down, another player going down, and he just didn't have it in him to speak after the game after losing a heartbreaker to the Kings. That one was pretty big for standings too, with where we're currently at.
Yeah. And
Questionable calls by Kidd down the stretch too. Whenever we needed one stop, we DeRozan was cooking us all night. I mean, season high this year. He was going off, and it was I would say about 80% of his buckets were on Spencer Dinwiddie just on his head. And we had Spencer Dinwiddie in the defensive closing lineup at the end of the game, guarding DeRozan. Like we had Max Christie guarding Zach LaVine, and Zach LaVine, I mean, don't get me wrong, Zach LaVine's a great player, but it was not his night. It was DeRozan's night, and we had Max Christie guarding Zach LaVine instead of DeRozan. So
right,
it's
right.
like you know where the ball's gonna go. Why are we even starting Spence on DeMar? And so DeMar just does what DeMar does and gets a bucket. And that one was a tough one because we win that game. Mavs are 4-1 going into tonight against the Heat. But obviously we have two heartbreaking losses against probably two of the teams we should have beaten out of the
Yeah.
last 5 games. So, did you have
Yeah.
any thoughts?
I had a couple thoughts in that game. I mean, obviously, you mentioned the fact that Dallas basically did not have a big to rely on. I mean, and that was to telltale story of the game. I mean, 50 total rebounds for Sacramento to 33 in Dallas. I mean, there was something they could do, whether it was Sabonis, whether it was Valanciunas, um,
We
two
saw
obviously big
Sabonis and
guys.
Valanciunas on the court at the same time
Yeah.
at
Uh,
multiple points throughout the game.
Right. And, those are two, obviously both those players, I think, are limited in other ways, but those are two massive dudes that take up so much space. So it's like when you don't have a consistent big or a guy that you could rely on, like just box, like simple things like boxing those out, boxing those guys out becomes a massive task, and you sort of
Hmm.
have to gang rebound, and that's a hard mentality to take on whenever you didn't enter the game with that in mind. I mean, you've been able to rely on Gafford so much this season, like you said, and
He's
yeah,
been
just how
playing such good basketball lately too. Ever since
so
Lively went
good.
down, he's been playing his best basketball as a Mav.
Yes,
Honestly, even better than last year.
he's really stepped it up. And yeah, like you said, I mean, there's nothing they could do about DeRozan. I mean, when DeRozan is hitting threes, I mean, 4 for 6 from three, I mean, he's almost
Yeah.
unstoppable, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's everybody knows DeMar DeRozan has not never been a 3-point shooter, or that's always been his kind of Achilles heel.
Hmm.
And boy, when he has that three ball going, I mean, what do you do about him? I mean, he was just cooking in the mid range. I mean, he had everything going tonight. Getting to the free throw line. I mean, it
Yeah.
was he was great. And he really willed the Sacramento team to this victory. And really, it's hard because I don't even know how much to attribute this to the Dallas team. I mean, they fought as hard as they could in the situation they were put themselves in, and with the amount of distractions going on that were non-basketball related, it's like how can you even fault them for losing? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just such a tough situation.
It's a super hard situation because Mavs fans are kind of at an impasse right now. It's you want to protest, you want to let it known how much you disapprove of the front office's moves, but then you watch this team go out and play, and they play so incredibly hard every single night. I mean, they had their Sabonis and Valanciunas lineup out there, and we had literally Max Christie on Sabonis and like Omax Prosper on Valanciunas, and that was how we were like and we were winning. Like we should have won that game. Like we stopped DeRozan there, we win the game. And they're literally fighting. And then after that game, heartbreaking loss. We should have won the game, like scrapping everywhere. We walk into a pretty hot Golden State Warriors, fully healthy, minus Kuminga, but they've been playing well with Jimmy Butler. They stroll into Dallas, and we're kind of like, you know, uh-oh, PJ's not back. Like Max Christie was questionable. Dante Exum out that game. We were like, man, we're gonna be like this could be bad. Then we beat a fully healthy Warriors team with Omax Prosper and Kessler Edwards as our starting 4 and 5 men. And we're missing seven of our best 11 players. So it's
Yeah.
like this Mavs team,
Well,
because of that, like shows me how legit they are. When you can beat a pretty good team like the Warriors, contender, no, but they're a good team. When you can beat a good team without seven of your best 11 players, it
I
just goes
mean,
to show you the culture and the depth, honestly.
yeah, I mean they still have Stephen Curry, right? I mean,
And Jimmy Butler,
yeah.
like
So I mean
Draymond
that's
Green played like they had
yeah,
they had the dudes. They should have won that game.
right.
And that it's just like the Mavs fans, like I said, it's just so hard because we want it to be like they were kicking people out against the Kings. Like the treatment of the Mavs front office to the fans has been worse than the actual trade. I think I tweeted that. The treatment of the front office to the fans, kicking
Yeah.
out fans, not letting fans wear, the outfits that they want to wear. And this isn't derogatory terms. This does not go against the NBA code of conduct. This is like
Yeah.
saying fire Nico is not a derogatory term. You should
Yeah,
not be
it's
booted
not
out of an
like
arena for that.
right. It's not like they have another F word and then Nico, like an
Yeah.
explicitive, that they could have
Like
used, like very
it makes
easily could have happened. Like I don't know. And it's such a shame because like, my I feel the most bad for Max Christie because like any other situation, Mavs fans would be completely behind this guy and just rallying to him because of how he's played at the Dallas Mavericks. Like he's been incredible for y'all, and he like
incredible.
like every game, his footprints or his fingerprints are all over the game. The stats show it, the eye test, like everything shows it, and he's not getting the credit he deserves because of all the other noise going on.
It's yeah. And so we're as Mavs fans, we're so passionate. Mavs fans are some of the most passionate. I mean, literally, we're not like we've been number one in attendance all year, and I'm pretty sure we've had sellout attendance since like 20, like since the year 2000. Like the Mavs fans are some of the most passionate fans. And that's why it's like, what is going on with Patrick Dumont? It's not a Nico Harrison thing. Nico Harrison can't kick people out of the stadium. As much as we like to paint Nico as this villain, it leads me to believe that, man, this is deeper than Nico Harrison because this is a Patrick Dumont thing. And then they're so clueless as a front office that Patrick Dumont walks into the arena and they're letting him hear it in American Airlines. And he looks over and is like, are they booing me? Is that me? Like, he doesn't even know that like Dallas natives and Dallas fans hate him. Like, I I'm
You don't think
genuinely
that was
baffled.
sarcasm? You don't think that was sarcasm?
No, he looked genuinely curious to me. Like he was like, was that me? Like looking over, and the dude next to him was like, no, no. And the dude on the end was like, yep. Like so whoever that dude next to him that was saying no is a clown ball. But like
A clown
our
ball.
front office, our front office is so out of touch with the fan base right now, and that's just I feel like that's the adjustment that the Mavs fans are going to have to make is we've been so lucky that like Mark Cuban would be on Twitter with Mavs fans like for his tenure as the owner, and he still is on Twitter with Mavs fans. Like we just aren't going to be that in tune with the front office. It's not going to be that relationship like it has been for Mavs fans. So it's just navigating that now. And then Mavs fans know, like, hey, we're not booing the players. Like, the players are making it bearable for us because of how hard they play on a given night and honestly how well they're doing through all these rough times. It's like they're like it's like we're in a war almost. Like it's an army type of environment. Like things are going wrong, like we're just gaining this camaraderie being together through the hard times. It's that type of feel to it. And so it really makes you want to root for the team. But then you're also like wanting to like cuss Nico Harrison out every time you see him at the same time. So just a weird dynamic going on, but the crowd was rocking against the Warriors the other night. I mean, Kyrie was doing crazy
Ooh,
things. I wanted to go a
that's a
little bit
bad
into that
man.
Warriors game.
That's
Oh,
a
he's a bad man.
bad, bad man.
42 points, clutch as can be. I wanted to talk a little bit about that Warriors game. Multiple. First, I want to give this guy his flowers because he does not been given his flowers. Klay Thompson, as of lately, has been elite. He has been an elite player, and I'm not afraid to say the word elite because I don't take that term lightly. 17.2 points per game, 4.2 rebounds, 1.8 assists on 40% from three-point line over the last 5 games. Since Luka's since that Luka trade, Klay Thompson has stepped up in a big way. Like hunting shots, not sitting there and taking the ones that are given to him. He's hunting shots. Now, his defense last night was driving me crazy because he was being so lazy on switches. That's going to be his one thing. Is his on-ball defense is fine because he guards bigger players for us as
Yeah.
as of right now. But his off-ball defense is so extremely lazy sometimes. That's his one thing. But besides that, he has been elite hunting shots, and the Mavs have been drawing up plays for him, and it's really like you can tell our offense, and that's what's going to have to happen with the Mavs offense is it's going to have to it's not the Lucas we're not going to sit and watch Kyrie like initiate offense 90% of the time anymore. Like we're going to get some initiation with Kyrie, obviously, but like you're going to see, and Mavs fans haven't seen this in a long time, like you're going to see some sets being ran, some different plays for some different guys. Um, Especially for Klay because of the gravity that he has. He's a pretty good passer off of his down action screens or double screens coming off. And teams are going to blitz him sometimes, especially if he's hitting like the Celtics. And we're going to get those short rolls with Lively. And
Yep.
that's one way that Lively can still be effective in his short rolls is because when Luka leaves and he's not getting blitzed anymore, I was worried that Lively's short roll game would be, and that's kind of what he's best at is his short roll game would kind of flutter because teams wouldn't blitz off ball screens. But now teams
Right.
are still going to have to blitz off ball screens with Klay. We're just going to see a little bit different.
Well, and that was
But
his bread and butter in Golden State too. I mean,
mhm,
that was like the core of their offense is hitting Draymond in that short roll. And I
yep,
mean, they lived. I mean, they won championships off of stuff like that. You
yeah,
know, I mean, he
slips,
he
everything.
knows how to run that stuff, and fully healthy Dallas has the personnel to really make teams hurt whenever they do that. And it's
Yeah,
out of necessity, obviously. Like with like Clay knows. Clay's been around the NBA a long time. He knows who he's playing with. He knows the rock. Like he knows he has to put up more shots now. Like
yeah,
it's clear as day, and the change is there, and it's a great sign for the Dallas team because um they need it right at the end of the day.
yeah.
So
And and, and another thing is it was really, really nice seeing this role that Omax is in right now is kind of perfect for him because he doesn't really have to shoot threes to stay on the floor. So he doesn't even take him at the moment. Like obviously he's not really a top of the key type of 3-point shooter. We don't really have a
right.
whole lot of those. There's probably about 4 or 5 dudes on the Mavs that I'm comfortable with taking a wide open catch and shoot from the top of the key. Omax more of a corner three guy. He doesn't have to really take threes at all. He doesn't even look for threes. He's doing a really good job at the small ball five, just being active on offense, being a willing passer and being aggressive when he needs to. Obviously he just gets bullied on the glass sometimes, but Omax is going to play small ball five tonight. Thank gosh, Bam Adebayo is out.
Yeah,
That'll save us a lot
he
of troubles.
Bam killed us last night. So
Yeah.
yeah, hey, that's good that he's not playing.
But we are so athletic right now because of the youth that we have on the floor. Max Christie is just unbelievable. Like, if he wasn't for Luca, honestly, if we like could flip like a Max Christie and AD, like this would never happen. But if we flip Max Christie and AD for Kyrie, like I would have been ecstatic. I would have sat here and been hanging the championship banner behind me. But Max Christie has been outstanding confidence wise, evolving his game since leaving LA. Obviously, he's a pretty good catch and shooter, but he's getting into his mid range. He was getting some pull ups. Obviously, he's getting to the rim. Obviously, a great defender. His biggest asset to this team is he is probably the best guard rebounder that I've seen Dallas have, maybe in like the last 10 years. And I really mean that. Like,
I mean, do you think he's? I mean, do you consider Luca a guard then? Like,
I consider Luca a forward. But I think Max Christie is a overall better rebounder than Luca. Luca puts up a lot more stats, but
I
from
mean,
where Christie's
yeah.
playing point of attack defense 90% of the time, and those guys are not going to get the same amount of rebounds as Luca, who's guarding the worst shooter and sitting 2 feet outside the paint.
I mean, yeah,
Eh,
Luca, obviously a lot of his rebounds, I would say the majority were uncontested, right? They would just be
yeah,
like, oh, it's a lot easier. We would do this all the time when we were Russell Westbrook, and like why his rebound numbers were crazy. Adams would box out and just let Westbrook come grab it because you initiate the fast break a lot starter when your best player has the ball in his hands. So that was a lot of
mhm,
Luca's rebounding. It's not like Luca
yeah.
was a good rebounder
Yeah,
by any
and
means.
that's why you don't see
So,
Lively and Gafford have just huge rebounding numbers. Like they're
right,
a lot better rebounders than they get credit for, but
right.
Luca was just always there to kind of scoop those. He just inhaled rebounds.
Oh, and they're just
And
gonna let him have it too.
yeah,
Obviously, like
yeah.
that's just obvious.
But Max Christie has the rare skill of, and this is a rare skill, and you don't see this a lot in the NBA, but of players and the Thunder have a lot of players that are like this because they're just so scrappy. But when people go and they literally get to the apex of their jump and put a hand on the ball. And when they get that hand on the ball, you have no fears as a fan, as anybody, that ball's coming down with that person. That's Max Christie. You have no fears that ball is coming down with Max Christie if he gets his paws on it. Now, the worst on the team that was driving me insane last night was Kessler Edwards. He is the worst. He will be in such good rebounding position, grab the ball, and he just can't chin it. Gafford has problems with that. Probably the best on the team was Lively with that, but Max Christie elite rebounding, and we've needed that from him because that's I mean, we're gonna roll out a lineup tonight, and let me just read off. We're playing the Heat tonight. Let me just read off this lineup. So who's out tonight? Kyrie Irving's out, Klay Thompson, Gafford's out, Anthony Davis is out, PJ Washington's out, Caleb Martin's out, Derek Lively's out, and Dwight Powell's out. So
well, thankfully, you guys are playing the Heat, and the Heat have a lot of guys out too because they're going through a little bit of the stomach bug right now, which had Jaime Jaquez did not play last night in Oklahoma
mm,
City. And I think Wiggins is out again for
Yeah.
them tonight, and then yeah, Bam as well. So
Hmm.
thankfully you're playing a pretty shorthanded Heat team. So I still think y'all can take care of business. I mean, it's a big
Yeah.
game for y'all. I mean, you have to. I mean, looking at the standings, right? It's you're you're at the eighth spot, but you're a half game above Sac, and
Yeah.
then a game and a half above Golden State. So it's like you're
Yeah.
never feel good about being in the play-in. So, but
No.
obviously, you need like if Dallas wants to make the postseason, they need to be the 7 or 8. Like you don't want to enter the play-in as a 9 or 10 because then you have to obviously, for those that don't know the format, you got to win 2 games if you're the 9 or 10.
Mhm.
So you got to be the seven
The
or eight at least if you want to feel good about making the postseason. So yeah, Dallas. I mean, this is a big game tonight. They got to take care of business,
yeah.
and I
I,
I feel like every game for the rest of the season is going to be a big game for Dallas.
well, I'll say this. If we want to take a look at the upcoming Mavericks, obviously you get through tonight, you get a week off. You maybe play 2 or 3 games, you get Gafford back. After the All-Star break, you're probably getting PJ Washington back. Caleb Martin's coming back in 2 to 3 weeks, apparently. Dwight Powell may come back by the end of the All-Star break. So that's kind of some help on the front lines for us. And then obviously, like we still don't know very much about Anthony Davis, which leads me to believe that in the dead of night, sometime this week, he's going to have season-ending surgery. That's what I feel like is going to happen. They're just not telling us that right now. Um, I know there's been some reports that he avoided it, but until I hear the words come out of Jason Kidd's mouth or actually, I don't even trust Anthony Davis anymore. Until I hear the words come out of Jason Kidd's mouth that he's going to be coming back at some point this season. Obviously going to be on the lookout for that, but I'm not even worried about tonight, to be honest. We could win or lose tonight and it'd be fine. The Mavs have the easiest remaining schedule out of the top 10 teams in the West for the rest of the year. Very, very light schedule going ahead. I mean, our January when Luka was out, it was just brutal. Like our January, early February schedule was disgustingly brutal. Um, Not really worried about our this next cut. I just need this. I think the Mavs getting the 7th seed and playing the Grizzlies would be the best possible case scenario for us because, like, obviously we don't want to play the Thunder round one. Do I think we can beat the Thunder if we have a fully healthy team? Absolutely, and we can talk about that at some point. But it's going to be very interesting seeing what this roster looks like fully healthy, and I really think that a lot of matchup problems happen for a fully healthy Mavs team. Now, that's if we get a fully healthy Mavs team that hasn't happened even close to happen at any point this year. And it's going to all rely on AD. If AD is not going to be able to come back this year, you might as well chalk it and be ready for next year because we aren't going to really beat anybody. But just get through tonight. No injuries. Omax is going to be playing 35 minutes at the center spot, 40 minutes at the center spot. Kessler Edwards is going to play 30 minutes. Kessler Edwards is a net zero, net negative offensive player. He just doesn't do anything for us offensively. So would be a great win for the team going into the All-Star break. Not expecting a win. But yeah, so just super excited for, reinforcements to come back for the Mavs after the All-Star break. Really needing to get healthy. Take the whole week off, everybody, and get your treatment in the Mavs locker room and just get right.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to touch on too, before we transition to my team, is that important to note as well. Kyrie Irving, congratulations on another All Star appearance.
Yeah.
Actually replacing Anthony Davis, if I'm not mistaken. Funny
Yep.
enough.
His teammate.
So
Well
congrats, Kyrie.
deserved.
Yeah, well deserved. I know fans in SAC are not going to be happy, but at the end of the day, the reserves are picked by the coaches. So
Mhm.
that's how it
I
goes.
mean, if we're being for real, I mean, Sabonis and Kyrie both should have been in over Steph.
Well, I wouldn't have gone Steph, but yeah, I
Steph
mean,
should not be an
you definitely
all-star.
yeah we that's neither here nor there. It's fine. We don't need to agree with Kendrick Perkins, but um,
Mm.
anyways, is that all you got on the maps? I
Yeah,
think I
that's all
think
I
you covered
got.
pretty much everything. So yeah, let me talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Um,
I'm
I
anxious to hear this. I heard. some hot takes coming from you
Yeah,
with the
man.
Thunder
I
today?
so every year around probably January or February, I usually feel pretty confident on who I think is going to the NBA Finals and going to win the championship. Um, that being said, I've held off a little bit this year because my team is more of a contender than they have been in a very long time. So I'll get there. But first, I want to kind of talk about some stats, some crazy stats and numbers that I've been seeing on Twitter by some amazing beat writers for the Thunder and some guys that follow the team. And then but I also want to talk about the Miami game and our recent schedule. So I was fortunate enough to be in the arena last night versus Miami. Um, horrible start. I think this was one of the worst first halves we'd have defensively. I give a lot of credit to Miami Heat, to the Miami Heat. Their execution and ball movement was fantastic. They were really putting Hart in a tough situation with the dribble penetration, and Khalil Ware and Bam were just killing us as lob threats. And Tyler Hero was getting in the paint. They really all had it going. I thought someone who you wouldn't you forget the Miami Heat have for those that don't watch them is Davion Mitchell. He actually had a really really
Mhm.
good game. He was hitting threes, which is always a tough thing for him. He was pushing the ball in fast break and wide open layups, and he was playing pretty decent defense on Shea for a lot of the game. So hats
Yeah.
off to him. He played his butt off. And the Miami Heat, they were up, I believe, 53-33 at one point in the second quarter, so they had a 20-point lead. And really through three quarters, we were just scratching and clawing, right? Um, we had we hit 27 three-pointers against New Orleans, which is team record, by the way. Just amazing shooting. We were just this game kind of started off different way. We started off 1 for 10 from three, so really
Mhm.
cold. We really had to scratch and claw for three quarters. Um, Shea really didn't have anything going in the first half besides getting to the free throw line, which obviously is well noted. That's kind of a given at this point. Um,
Right.
but really in the third quarter, and J-Dub was nowhere really to be seen. Like had 5 points in the first half, but in the third quarter he really took over. He got it going from, I don't know with him. It's like he has these he won't be found for like a half, and then he'll just have these spurts where he turns into the best player in the court, and that's what happened in the third quarter. He carried us. I think he had 11 points or 11 or 12 points in the
Yeah.
quarter, and just had it going from three. Got some couple and ones. I mean, it just had it all going and really carried us in the third quarter because through that third quarter, Miami's still hitting shots. I mean, Nikola Jovic was hitting shots. Um, they had Pell Larson off the bench coming in and hitting shots. I mean, the Miami was just rolling. We could not stop Bam Adebayo all night. Bam finished with, I think, like 32 on the night. I mean, he was just cooking. Had the three ball going. I'm sorry, Bam had 27, but still, he had the three ball going. Was 3 for 4 from three. Enter the fourth quarter, we're down 10. It's like, well, here we go, guys. The win streak, it's a danger. Here we go. And then the fourth quarter started, and we flipped the switch, and you look up, and we go on a 24-row run to start the quarter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how in the world did this happen? The the games that we've lost this year, like I think of the Golden State game, I think of the Milwaukee Bucks game in the play-in championship. Like I remember these instances where like it's been well noted this team how good we are converting defense to offense. Like that's our bread and butter. That's what
Mhm.
we do. And in those games, it's just like so many instances of like where we're this close to steals. Like the ball barely goes out of bounds, or like Golden State barely hangs onto the loose ball, and that kills us, right? Because that's an opportunity that we all like. I swear, you watch the team, we always convert on those. It feels like. And so that was like the first half. I think I counted like four or five or maybe even six of those instances in the first half where we were like this close to a steal and it just didn't happen. So, but then the fourth quarter started. All of a sudden, Lou Dort block, steal. Kendrick Williams off getting an offensive foul call could have been a steal if Scott Foster swallows his whistle. Like, and then all of a sudden we hit threes and like it's just like an avalanche. Like
Mhm.
we started, and it was the guys that always do it for us. Like if nobody got me, I know Shay and Dort got me, man. Like in the biggest moments and the times we need them, I don't trust two other people to carry us in those moments. And those are those guys. And it's always been those guys. And it's Dort on defense and it's Shea on offense. And boy, did that
Mhm.
happen in the fourth quarter. I mean, just an utter avalanche to start. I mean, we just hit three. I mean, it was everything. Um, and it cannot go understated how vital to this team Shea's 3 point evolution has been. I mean, 4 for 9 from
Mhm.
three this game, but it's been all season. And when we move into the playoff time and we're running these double big lineups, like, and he's playing a little bit more off ball, like being ready to shoot, like that volume and gravity is so important. Like guys are closing out on him harder from three than ever before. I mean, he got a 4 point play against New Orleans, I believe. I mean, it's 36% on 5.8 3 pointers a game. That's
Yeah.
that's what we've been waiting for his entire career. And boy,
Mhm.
is it here. And the thing is, I think he's a lot better 3 point shooter than that because it's not like he's getting catch and shoot looks. I mean, these are like pull up threes off screens where he gets a lot most of his looks, or at least
Yep.
half of his looks. And so um and he's just been unstoppable that way. Really just carried us, and we just completely took the Miami Heat out of rhythm. I mean, it was a 24-0 run before Bam hit a three to end it, and Miami finished with 8 points in the quarter. And I mean, it was just unbelievable to watch, man, in person. It's just, I mean, beating the Pelicans is one thing, but when you're playing a Miami Heat team that punches you in the mouth for 3 quarters, then you just do that. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. I mean,
Yep.
do you have anything to say about that? I mean, it's just, it's hard to even put it to words sometimes. Just watching, it's
Yeah.
just incredible. Like,
There you can kind of tell and you can kind of tell contenders from games like the game we saw last night. It's you see the this is kind of like the Celtics MO a little bit is you have those 30-point leads or you have the 20-point leads and these great teams are down, you're never safe. You can never count the Thunder out of a game or you can never count the Celtics out of a game or, last year's Mavericks or whatever, just because of how great those teams are defensively and how crazy of runs that those teams can go on. So like you can shoot out 20-0 runs just because purely the pressure and gravity of Shea offensively that the Thunder can give on any time. Like Thunder get 2 or 3 turnovers in a row, like that could be a 12, 13 point run. Or, it's just the Thunder are such a dangerous team when it comes to that because you can wake them up like that, like any given night. And we've seen them struggle at some times when they just can't get, that one steal or two steals in a row against some teams that take care of the ball pretty well and they're down, which doesn't happen too often, obviously, this year because y'all's record has been so good. But like the second you get Dort, making a play or Jada makes a little momentum play, it's like they feed, that they feed off each other and then they just go into these crazy, crazy runs. And that really is it just shows like what a contender is, like what they deserve to have the record that they have right now, just because you can tell like any single specific play, and it could be anybody from the 11th man off the bench to Shea making this play, it's like they feed off each other. It's really fun to watch.
yeah, the team chemistry is there. And shout out, you're never going to see it in the box score, but if you watch these these Kenrich Williams minutes sometimes, he is he embodies this team
Hmm.
because he is the definition of he embodies this organization because he's the
Hmm.
definition of a guy who doesn't never knows how much he's going to play.
Yep.
He is always ready, and when he checks in, he guards his freaking butt off and does whatever we need him to do to win. Tonight, we played a couple minutes of J Will, and he was absolutely horrible, and so we needed Kendrick to come in and play center, and that's exactly what he did. He checked in the
Hmm.
first quarter, which he has not done in a while, to my knowledge. I mean, he hasn't been checking in the game that early, and he just comes in and does what we need to do, hits a couple
Yep.
threes. Um, tries his best on the lob actions that Miami were running and just balled out. I
Hmm.
don't know, just super impressed. Miami was pretty close to full strength. I mean, Jaime Hawkins didn't play, but um, this is still a quality
Yeah.
win against a Miami team with Andrew Wiggins, who's notoriously killed us in the past.
Yeah.
Just Lou Dort completely took Tyler Hero out of the fourth quarter. I mean, 0 points,
Hmm.
multiple turnovers, 0 for 2 from three in the fourth. I mean, it looked like he was just content with jacking up threes because he didn't even want to attempt to take Dort off the dribble.
Yep.
It was just fantastic game. It was a pleasure to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and just I can't speak enough for this team. But I want to go. There's a last couple days on Twitter. There's just been some just mind blowing statistics that I want to talk about that have been thrown around. Um, and the first one actually comes from ESPN. Surprising enough, with how they cover us. But so in the last 30 seasons, there's been six players that have led the league in scoring and also been on the team with the best record in the NBA. Do you want to give a shot? A couple guesses on any
In
of
the
those
last how
guys?
many?
Last 30 seasons,
There's
six
been two
instances.
players. There's been
Six.
six instances.
There's been six in the
I'm
last 30 seasons. So I'll
M
give you a hint. We have two of them.
really.
We have
I
two of
know
them.
probably MJ.
Yep, MJ. So 96 MJ. Oh, 2010
Was it
LeBron.
Kobe
Uh,
in there?
Kobe was not in there. So 2014 Kevin Durant.
Okay.
2016 Steph
Shea.
Curry. 2018 James Harden. And yes, 2025 Shea.
Wow.
So yeah, just that number just kind of speaks for itself. Like talks about the season Shea's having, like all time guard level season. Um, OKC Thunder now have 36 wins this season in double digits, 15 away from most double digit wins in NBA history.
Hmm.
With what is that? So we're 54 and 9. So we have, I think what? Let me do quick math. Like 19 games left, something like that.
Yeah,
It's doable. so
it is.
um,
The
yeah.
the one of the things that I kind of am seeing about the Thunder
Well, let me
is
talk about these numbers real quick. Um, uh, we have the best strength of record of all time in the NBA. And the top five teams of all time, top six teams of all time, Oklahoma City Thunder, 1971 Bucks. They won the title and they went 12-2 in the playoffs. 96 Bulls won the title, went 15-3 in the playoffs. 1972 Lakers won the title and went 12-3 in the playoffs. 2017 Warriors won the title and went 16-1 in the playoffs. 2024 Celtics won the title and went 16-3 in the playoffs. Like the company we're in right now are teams that are like not only have won the championship but have dominated on their way to get there. If you don't follow, like we now have the best point differential of all time, which means that we win our average of games by 13.5 points. The Chicago Bulls held that record previously, and they won. It was 1996 Chicago Bulls. That was 13.4. So
mm,
another number. We the Memphis Grizzlies in second place in the West right now. They're closer to the 9 seed than they are in the first place. And this is another one that's crazy. 30-point games allowed by team. There's been 5 games this year where a player has had 30 against us. Five
hmm,
out of, let's see. Oh, I was way off on, let me check the standings. Um, we're 44 and 9, so I'm sorry, not 53, 20, not 19 games left, 29 games left, but 5 games out of 53 games. That's less than 10% of the time someone's scoring 30 against us. Like that is absurd in the modern NBA. And that's what goes to show too, is like it's not like we're doing like in the 90s, the league was weaker than it ever was because of all these expansion teams. And so that diluted a lot of the
mhm.
talent. This is the strongest the NBA's ever been. And this is the most dominant statistical team ever.
Yep.
So that's why I kind of want to talk about. I'm just going to flat out say I think this team's winning the championship. I think if we are fully healthy going into the playoffs, and by fully healthy, I mean our 10 best players going into the playoffs are ready to go, I think we're winning the championship. I don't see anybody stopping this team. Every single statistic points to the fact that we're going to win it all. we have a top five player in the world, which is usually a bonus, like easily a top five player in the world, if not more. Like, and he's definitely playing like more, which is usually a requirement. We've talked about it before, like pretty much a requirement to win a championship. We have the best, I mean, just the best defense statistically of all time. Um, Aaron Wiggins in February, 21.4 points per game, 55, 40, 45, 92. I mean, playing like a pseudo creator. Um, I mean, this team has it all, right? I mean, yes, there are weaknesses, but every team, I mean, you can nitpick any team. I don't
That's
see a
what I was
team.
gonna kind
I
of
don't see a team
say.
beating us. Like I think this is a season where Shea's going to win the MVP. I think Shea's going to win the Western Conference Finals MVP. I think he's going to win the Finals MVP, and I think we're going to win the championship. I'm just going to flat out say
Hmm.
it. Like I don't see a team beating us, and I've been hesitant to say that because it's my team, and also like I've seen this team, my team in the past choke on the biggest stage, but this is the best Thunder team I've ever seen, and it's not really close. Like it, the I don't know. Am I crazy? Like, tell me if I'm crazy.
Well, what I was gonna say a little bit ago is when you see teams this dominant, you just see a bunch of NBA analysts kind of grasping at straws, trying to find, oh, this is why they're not gonna win. And it's what people kind of did with the Celtics last year. But everybody deep down kind of knew they were the best team. I get a little bit of that vibe from this Thunder team. A lot of people just grasp at these straws by saying, oh, like they're so young, blah 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 blah. They don't have like they're so goofy. I've heard that like they're not serious enough to win a title and stuff.
We got beat in the
And that's
second
just
round
not the
last
case.
year. Like,
Yeah, it's. Am I going to be crowning a champion in February? No. It's all
no.
going to come down to matchups and it's going to come down to who's healthy. It's going to come down to ma mainly like what that rotation, what that roster looks like come playoff time. Because right now, we don't have a whole lot of questions with the Thunder's depth, obviously. Like they can kind of adjust to any single lineup that they see. We do have questions sometimes with the consistency of their offense and how some teams are able to guard them. And that is the only thing that I think can stop the Thunder from getting to the title because we know they're going to play great defense. All right. We know for the most part that they're going to be able to play 9 to 10 guys in a series if they have to. The one thing that even makes it somewhat serious for me about the Thunder is non-Shea minutes and specific matchups with ginormous teams. And obviously, I'm a person that thinks the Celtics is the best team in the NBA and that they're going to win the title. I think that they're the best team, one of the best teams ever assembled, even last year. But we've seen like some huge teams. We haven't really seen the Thunder be able to play that huge lineup consistently and very well at the moment with Chet playing the 4 and Hart playing the 5. So right now, if we don't see Chet playing the 4 and Hart playing the 5 and see that like effectively, then I don't really see like this ginormous improvement from where they already were last year unless it's Shea personally to me. I
Well,
think that it's kind
I
of
will just
constructed the same.
I'll dispute that immediately. First off, you have to remember this playoff team last year had Josh Giddey in the rotation the whole time. Josh
Well,
Giddey
he didn't
in
start
playoff.
and barely played by the
Let
end.
me just finish. Josh Giddey was a net negative on both sides of the court in the NBA playoffs.
Yes.
That's a given. We replaced him with Alex Caruso, who has been
I
dynamic.
don't think Alex
Has
Caruso is gonna even start on y'all's playoff team.
I don't think he starts, but I think he's been dynamic from. I mean, if you look at his numbers in
There's a
February, I
chance
mean,
he
I'll
doesn't
pull it
even
up.
play.
That's yeah. If he's not healthy, he's gonna play if he's healthy. Like if you look at his numbers, well, let me pull up his splits in February. Like he has been knocking down threes like none other. Um, Alex Cruso's
But
definitely playing if he's healthy. And you talk about and
who
also
who out of their five?
We had Jay Will at the 5 last year for a lot of times in the playoffs too. And like that now you replace that with Isaiah Hartenstein. Like
I don't.
that's
Genuinely though, like what is this great improve? Like I don't see like schematically how they're going to be that much different
replacing Josh. Oh,
because
I don't think schematically
Jay
it would
will
have to be that
definitely
different.
gave you another aspect of offense that Hartenstein doesn't give you though in a playoff setting is he can step out and hit threes.
So here, let me touch on this. Alex Caruso, 45% from three in February.
He needs to continue
Something to
that.
think
That's going
about.
to be his big
30,
thing
30
about
set,
playing.
37.5% in February in January. So that's a big step. I mean, we definitely have to change up things stylistically because Hart doesn't add that spacing, obviously.
If y'all
But
play a healthy Mavs team, AD and Daniel Gafford starting, y'all are gonna there's no option, no other option than you guys starting both Chet and Hart. Like that, for
sure,
example. Like you would have to play that lineup, and Jay Will would have to play in that series.
most likely. But I think Jay will can survive at the four though.
I think
Like
so too.
if he has to. Now, if Jay will checks in the
That's
five,
what I'm saying is
if Jay will
there's certain
checks in at the
stylistic
five in
matchups,
a playoff game, then I'll throw the towel and say we're not going to win it all because that I
but
mean,
I'm just saying that's the thing that we haven't seen though. There's certain stylistic matchups, and it may not even be the Mavs. It may be the Cavs
sure,
in the finals that y'all play.
but that's also
And
probably due to the fact that Shea and Chet have played what 3 games together, 2 games together
exactly.
now.
That's all I'm saying is we haven't seen
Oh
them be
yeah, I
able to play
agree.
super
I agree.
effectively
I mean,
well.
it's February, you know.
And we haven't
But and I
seen the way like Chet is going to be Chet. Like Chet's going to be a positive player on the floor at all times, but we haven't seen the Thunder really play offense in a very differently spaced floor whenever that team is out there. Now, obviously, Chet can hit threes, but that is a significantly less urgent closeout than the four people that you have on the court when Chet or Hart are playing the five.
yeah, I mean it is. But the thing is the trade off you get defensively and the fact that I don't think teams are going to be able to guard these double big actions too. Like
It just
I
depends on what team.
it depends. Like I think the Cavs could guard it, and I think Dallas could probably guard it if they're fully healthy. But I'm not going to sit here and there's a lot of things that
I,
can happen. There's a lot of scenarios. Like
if I had to put my life on the line, I would pick the Thunder coming out of the West and playing the Celtics in the finals. If I had to put it on my life. But I am not
over
discounting
Cleveland.
the team that has a 3-1 record and has, actually matches up probably better now than they did 2 months ago with the Thunder in their own conference. Now, obviously, they aren't healthy, and then just the Cavaliers size wise, but then the Celtics we've just seen been so dominant in the playoffs. Whenever, like, I don't really worry about teams in the regular season coming off the title as much because they just don't like you just don't put the same level of effort that you do in the playoffs. But the Celtics are going to be the Celtics from last year. The Thunder are going to have to beat that Celtics team. It's going to
Oh yeah,
be, and that would be cinema basketball heaven in the finals if that happened. But
yeah.
I'm just saying there's a lot of different scenarios and a lot of things that we have to see before we start crowning our champions in
Oh,
February.
I'm not crowning any team. It's just a prediction.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I'm not gonna sit here and act like we can't be beaten. I just think that like I have to go out and get that off my chest
no,
because
it's valid. Like that would be the second or probably second or first team for me if I had to put my life on the line. I'd probably bet the Thunder, to be honest, or
yeah.
the Celtics, one of the two, but
I just
definitely
think
both of them playing each other.
yeah. I mean, and we see it every year. I mean, there's been 6 different champions of 6 different franchises in the last 6 years for a reason. Like there's so many different things that could happen, so many different injury scenarios, matchups, like you
Yep.
said. Like you never really know for sure
I
until the
yeah.
ball is thrown up.
I
And
mean, I can say
I'm
this
just going on a
confidently.
hunch. Like,
There's only two teams fully healthy that could even probably win 2 games against the Thunder in a series
that's Denver and
in the
that's
West.
Dallas. And that's it.
Healthy Dallas. I mean, Dallas right now, like we'd probably put up a fight and like maybe get 1 game, but not. We probably wouldn't win 1 game with the roster right now depleted. But like a fully healthy Dallas team can beat the Thunder. A fully healthy Nuggets team can beat the Thunder. But does
And
that
that's
mean
it.
that they're
That's
going
it
to
though.
beat the Thunder? No.
Right.
But nobody else is winning more. Nobody else is winning 2 games on the Thunder. Nobody else in the
Yeah,
entire.
dude. Oh, I have to talk about this.
Lakers fans are,
Like,
oh my
dude,
gosh.
did
I
you
know
hear what
what you're talking about.
did you hear what Shannon Sharp said?
The
Oh my!
I
He said
I am a
if we get the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, we're going to the finals. Like, you have to get to the first off, you have to get to the Western
oh my
Conference Finals
God.
first, which by no means is guaranteed with this team.
No.
No means, like,
Well,
not even close.
first of
And
all,
they have to get to the Denver Nuggets most likely. Like,
they have to get through Denver, I mean, or a healthy. I
well,
mean, we don't know what
right
health will
now,
look like right now,
yeah,
so
we don't know what the standings look
it's.
like. But right now, they're the 5 seed. So sure, you play the Rockets in the first round. I think they could beat the Rockets. I'll give you that.
I don't
But
think they could beat the Rockets, to be honest with you.
well, I think that'd be a
I'm a
great series.
lot
I think
lower
that'd
on the
be a great
Lakers.
series.
They would be.
Um,
I am a Luka stan till I die. I'm a Luka stan, but they are not winning more than 1 or 2 games against the Thunder. It's just not happening.
no,
And
we would gentlemen. I think we would gentlemen sweep them, and that might be an understatement. Like,
I think, yeah, I don't think the Lakers are like, okay, they've been going on a win streak. They've been playing some of the worst teams. Like the teams that have been playing against the Lakers have been shooting it so poorly. And it's not like, if you watch
well,
the
let's
games, it's not like they're just like the Lakers are playing this outstanding defense. Teams are just missing shots. And you just saw a team last night,
I mean,
like
the
the
Jazz just
Jazz
kicked their
actually
butt.
start hitting shots. And the Lakers roster is not constructed well. I mean, Luka and Austin Reeves and LeBron sharing the court together is horrible. Like it's not good.
But they have Alex Len, Caden. They have their
Oh my
savior.
gosh, dude. They're
Let me
like
just say this:
Jackson Hayes.
we
Imagine
were
Jackson Hayes guarding Jokic. Like what are we? The Lakers are not making it past the second round.
no way, no way. If they have to see, I mean, they better pray that we get upset in the first round somehow, and Denver gets upset in the first round. That's the only way. Because
The
if
only
not, they
chance
have no chance.
the only chance is Luka is a bad man. So you're going to have a chance in any series because Luka is that good. But like this Lakers team had a way higher ceiling with AD than it did with
A
Luka.
good thing we have Lou Dort.
Exactly. And that's the best possible player to put on Luka. Like he gave Luka problems. Like we've seen it. Prime Kawhi didn't give Luka as much problems as Lou Dort gave him.
The
So
Dort Chamber, baby. He doesn't have that nickname for a reason. Or he has that
exactly.
nickname for a reason. So
But
yeah.
you get to be biased against your team. The team that the Thunder should not want to play the most out of anybody is a fully healthy Mavs roster in the West. Now, and I think that the Celtics are way more of a stylistic matchup.
I don't know. I mean, I just have to see it respectfully. Like I have to see it before I am worried about the Mavs.
Your biggest thing, well, first of all, the Mavs are 3-1 against the Thunder this year, and we can say about people being out.
I literally do not care. I do not care.
It doesn't matter. The stats are stats.
We did not have Chet or Hartenstein.
We didn't have Luka.
Neither that game. Let's not like.
You're
like
0-3 against the Mavs without Luka.
Yeah, let's not act like those games matter. Neither team, if we met in the playoffs, none of those games would matter because the teams that both teams have right now would look nothing like those games.
But the Mavs would be better than they were earlier than the Thunder were whenever they played the Mavs. And secondly, is the biggest thing that was terrifying for
you
beat
a team with J Will. You beat a team with J Will at center. It's starting at center
with
no backup center.
The main creator.
I'm just saying there's nothing that those games mean nothing.
Or you lost to a team that had Spencer Dinwiddie as the main creator.
I know. I agree. Those games mean nothing.
The big worry for the Mavs
with led by Anthony Davis, those games mean absolutely nothing. That team is that Dallas team is nothing like you would. We would be 10 times better.
No, this is the biggest thing is y'all would have beat us if we had our roster versus your roster with Luka this year because of the fact that Chet could actually guard PJ Washington and prohibit him. Now in a series, Chet is not going to be guarding PJ because Chet is going to have to guard Anthony Davis. And we've seen what PJ does to J-Dub. Like, it's not a good matchup for J-Dub at all defensively. And it's an even worse matchup when J-Dub's being guarded by PJ.
I'm not worried about that.
You slide PJ to the 3, and J-Dub has to guard PJ at the 3. That's a horrible, horrible thing.
I would agree, but let's be real. Like we've said it multiple times, Dallas has to be healthy. And I will believe it when I see it. I will believe it when I see it. But
that's true.
That team is nowhere near healthy right now. And so
That is the one team
I'm
that
not
can
going to worry
stop
about that
that's
team.
the one team that can stop the Thunder. That's all I'm saying. That's the only saving grace besides maybe a healthy Nuggets team. If Jokic goes bonkers though, he would have to go absolutely bonkers.
I mean,
But
thankfully
we can talk about the
we
stylistic
match up.
matchup against the Mavs and Thunder fully healthy, and it's debate. It's closer than you would think it is right now.
Oh, I agree. I mean, Dallas. I mean, Jason Kidd outcoached Mark Daigneault last year in the playoffs, so I'm not going to discount that. Like, but I just think with Dallas, like, I just have to believe it before I see it. Like, and would
I would agree.
wouldn't
Yeah.
believe it before I see it, as in more of just like they have to be healthy. So,
Oh, and
but I
and
just saw that
if I'm
Anthony
being
Edwards is
100% on
playing
it, if I have
tonight.
to bet,
That's hype.
is he really?
Yeah, that'll be good.
Hmm. But if I had
So
to bet my life on it, I'd pick the Thunder to win again against a fully healthy Mavs team right now, just because obviously we haven't seen the Mavs play, and I just am that high on the Thunder. But I'm saying that stylistically, that matchup is like a lot closer than I even think it would have been this year. I think that the Mavs would have a better chance to beat the Thunder this year with AD than if they had Luka, just because of how Luka looked this year and just because of how stylistically y'all would match up with Chet being able to guard PJ. Like
I
I
agree
feel
with
like
that.
that's worse for us.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns right now. Obviously,
So many
February,
unknowns.
so we'll just have to
But
see how
booking
it
it, if
shakes
we're
up.
making predictions,
So
Celtics Thunder finals, and I'm picking that's a close one. I'm so high on the Celtics though.
they're
I'm
good,
super high on the
man.
Thunder, but I'm so high on the Celtics.
I mean,
It's that would be cinema. That would be like basketball heaven. I think I said that, but
yeah, I could not imagine. I mean, yeah, the game that I went to, the Sunday afternoon game, which don't ask me why that game was on Sunday afternoon, but that's either here or there. Game with Paycom against Boston was the most
dude,
entertaining game of the season, man. It was just fantastic. I could
that's
not
a
imagine that in the
series.
series.
That's a series where you could start Chet at the five and then have a Caruso in the starting lineup
I
and
think
then
that'd
run
probably be the
into.
way to
I
go,
think
just
that would be
with how
because
Porzingis
you're,
spaces the
yeah.
floor, right?
Mhm.
So, but anyways, um, let's yeah, we kind of ranted on there about the Thunder, so let's kind of move on to our next last segment here. We kind of had three risers, three fallers or droppers going into the All Star break. I want to get out of here and watch the Thunder at 7:30. So let's run through
We can
this.
make this. We can
Yeah,
make this
let's run
quick.
through
I
this
think we
real
both
quick.
had Denver on the risers.
Yeah.
Um, now
Um,
8-2 in their
Denver.
last 10,
Yeah, I'll let you
but
go.
I'll preface it and then 8-2 in their last 10. Obviously, they've been playing. I mean, Jokic has been playing crazy. Jamal just had 55 the other night. Like that team is peaking right now, and it's peaking at the right time. Very good. Obviously, they have some depth concerns. I feel like you and me both agree on that. Their starting five is pretty much the only comfortable guys that consistently are going to be performing. Julian Strawther's been playing a little bit better. Um, Now the last 10 games, they played absolute bums. Like they played some really bad teams. So 8-2 in the last 10 with the teams that they've been playing, it's like, but you just got to throw them on there. They've been playing really well.
Yeah, I agree. Jamal Murray. The big reason why this team struggled at the beginning of the season is because Jamal Murray didn't really look like himself. Obviously, he
Mhm.
was banged up. I mean, he had a horrible summer for Canada in the Olympics. Just looked awful. And he's finally coming back into the form and doing what we know he's capable of. The 55-point game was just an epitome of that and kind of a signal to the rest of the league, like, hey, like Denver's here. They're a
Mhm.
serious contender and a serious threat to win it all. And definitely a team
Yeah.
that could win it all. So,
When you have the
Denver,
best
I
player in
agree.
the world, it's you can't count them out ever. And then I
100%.
think did you have the Lakers as a riser?
I did not have the Lakers. So,
Okay.
a team that I had a riser was Cleveland. Um,
Mm,
Cleveland's playing really, really well right now. They've just won four in a row,
yep.
um, taking care of business. They just made a fantastic move for DeAndre Hunter, which I think cannot go understated just because of how impactful he's been for the Atlanta Hawks this season. Um, Now, granted, like I put Cleveland in here not because of like what they've won recently, just because of that move, and also like what I think
Yeah.
how they will finish the season. Like, but let's
Mhm.
not forget Cleveland's 44-10. right now. Just playing fantastic basketball.
Hmm.
Little four-game win streak. Like, yes, it was against the Wizards, the Raptors, the Wolves, and the Pistons. But like the Pistons are no joke. The Wolves are no joke. Yes, the Wolves were seriously hurt that game, but like I think this team is legit. I think they're a
Hmm.
serious threat to Boston. I think they could definitely beat Boston with the personnel
I
they
think so
have.
too.
Um, and just a
They could beat
team
anybody.
after the trade deadline. I mean, this is obviously another team that could win it all.
Yep.
Super high in the Cavs. I love watching them
Yeah.
play. They play like a more of a, they don't have like I think a championship number one option, so they just have like this the sum is bigger than the parts, separately.
Hmm.
So super high on them. They were one of my risers. So
Yeah, that's going to be their main issue in the playoffs is who's going to be that 1A alpha dog for them.
mm,
But I agree with everything you said. Mine was I put the Lakers out of sympathy. Um, they've been good. They've been 8-2 in their last 10 games. They went on a little win streak. Now the quality of competition that they've been playing has not been great. I know they had a really good
horrible.
win over the Celtics, but we can't really take that same team and this is a much different team now. Lost their point of attack defender and Max Christie, who's been balling with my team, and then obviously probably lost their two best defenders. To be honest with you, this team's going to really struggle guarding, especially. I mean, we saw a play with Luka and LeBron just
Oh my
like
gosh.
not even playing defense. That's the one thing I don't miss about Luka. But this team's going to really struggle in the playoffs. You're not going to be able to hide Luka or hide LeBron like they have in years past. But they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They've been hot. Austin Reeves has been playing unbelievable basketball for them. So I went and put it's a sympathy. Probably should have been the Celtics over the Lakers in my risers, but I put the Lakers on there.
Yeah, and I don't have much to say about the Lakers because I'm just kind of disgusted with NBA discourse right now about them. But
Yeah, they are not competing for a title.
no,
Don't get that out of your mind. I love Luka to death. They're not competing for a title.
no. So my other riser was the Boston Celtics, like you mentioned.
Mhm.
So Jason Tatum is having
Balling.
a fantastic February.
Yep.
He is absolutely dominating right now. There's just no one really that can stop him. Like quite frankly, like he just has it going. I mean, sidestep threes, like off. I mean, he just getting everything to go. Playing like a top five player in the world. Like I think he
Yeah.
is right now. Um, and
What he did in
I
the in
his
Madison Square Garden.
oh, I mean, his season is kind of going under the radar, right? Because of
Mhm.
the seasons that Shea and Jokic and Giannis are having. But let's not forget, like, this is a top five player in the world right now.
Yep.
And, like, I, he's a problem, man. I mean, just a 6'10" wing that can do everything. I mean, just the stuff that he does with his hand, I mean, he is so smooth, man.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know what you do with this guy in a playoff setting. Just unbelievably tough right now. I tried to pull up some numbers to see splits, but I can't find it right now. Like just playing unbelievable basketball. Had to put Boston here,
Yeah.
just with the
They've
way
been
they've
playing
been
well.
playing. Serious depth. Luke Cornett has stepped it up for this team recently. Like they're
Luke
just,
Cornett just randomly just has like one of the best plus minuses on that team this year. Like
yeah,
he goes out on the court and you forget he's out there, but then they just start building leads.
yeah. Yeah. I'll just last five games for Tatum or last three games for Tatum. 32 points, 33 points, 40 points. So just playing unbelievable basketball. He's been great.
Yeah,
Um,
he's fantastic.
yeah, Boston. We know what Boston's capable of. Not much more needs to be
Yeah.
said. What's your third
They
riser?
struggled. Yeah, they struggled a little bit. They definitely picked it up. My third riser has been the Knicks as of lately. Now I know we all watched that massacre that happened at home against the Celtics. Outside of that game, they've really been playing outstanding basketball these last 10 games. 8-2 in the last 10 games. Karl Anthony Towns playing really well. Jalen Brunson's playing really well. Josh Hart. That roster, that top five in that roster is very, very good. Now, the issues with that we have with them is defensively. And you look at the roster and you're like, that shouldn't be a bad defensive roster. Cat is really not a five. That's their
No,
biggest issue right
and
now.
that's their biggest issue is they have great perimeter defenders, but like I don't care who you are as a defender in the NBA, you're gonna get blown by. Like that just happens in the course of the
Mhm.
NBA game. Like, and when that happens is when New York really struggles, is because they maybe don't see as much of that as maybe that's like a factor they don't really see that a whole lot because their perimeter defense is so stout, so their rotations are poor. And Precious Achua and Cat provide little to no rim protection,
Yeah.
and that's really their biggest problem right now is the
Yeah.
driving kicks. They have to overcommit right now to every single drive because
Mhm.
of the no rim protection that they know they have, and so
Yeah.
I'm interested to see like when Mitchell Robinson comes back if this
Mhm.
team like what this team is capable of with him in the
Yeah.
lineup. I think they would like in theory. I think they get a lot better,
Yeah.
but still a lot to be seen.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
that's the without OG too. Like OG's been out and they've
mhm,
still been putting together a good stretch here. So
right.
I think they're on the
Um,
list.
so yeah, those are three risers. Let's go into the droppers. My number one dropper was Philadelphia 76ers.
Mhm.
And this team dropping just fills my heart with joy because they're likely going to give us at this point in the season, at the season ended today, we would get the like a really good chance of getting the 7, 8, or 9 pick from them, which is just fantastic. Like um, Paul George has been more of an asset to the Thunder than any other team he's been on since we traded him, and it's just
I hate that
oh,
man.
I love it. He's been absolutely horrible. There's been, obviously he's super hurt. Like I saw the other day on Twitter, like he's having to take injections in his knee just to be able to play in the regular season, which is something that guys normally don't even do until the postseason. And so obviously, like
Mhm.
he's super banged up. He's better than what he's been playing, but boy, he's been horrible. And so yeah, and I just super happy as a Thunder fan that we get to this pick is most likely going to convey, and we're going to get a mid lottery pick for free. So
Yeah. That's it's so stupid. Joel Embiid's been, he's been putting up decent numbers. He's like this is not MVP Joel Embiid. If you watch him play, all he does is foul bait and shoot jumpers. Like
dude,
he isn't the same
anybody
player.
anybody who calls Shea a foul baiter, like the worst foul baiter in the league, like
Oh, no.
go
It's
watch
Joel
Joel
Embiid.
Embiid. He is 7'2", 280, and he is flopping all over the place for calls.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
understand, like it's like the Shaq thing, like so big and so dominant that they get hacked a lot, and those fouls don't get called.
Mhm.
But Shaq was not flopping around. He would just tell the ref, like, I'm getting hacked. Like, please call it. Like, and he
Yeah.
he just finished with force. Joel Embiid, when he gets touched, he is flailing his body like it's just the
Yeah.
most absurd thing I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't want to hear anything about Shea drawing fouls unless you recognize Joel Embiid's the worst side in the league because it's not even
Yeah.
close.
Yeah. And he's going to need another surgery after the season, is what I've heard from certain reports. So that team is so unserious, it's unbelievable. So that rightfully deserved it. My dropper was the Phoenix Suns, 3-7 in their last seven or in their last 10 games. Um, that team stinks now. Like ever since the trade deadline, that team has stunk. And I don't know if it's because of all the trade rumors and everything like that. Obviously, they got Nurkic out of the locker room. They added Nick
Well,
Richards. Nick Richards hasn't been this great piece that Suns fans were making him out to be like he was
no,
after the last two games.
no. I
Mason
mean,
Plumlee's still the best center on that roster.
Nick Richards is still not very good at defense.
Yeah. So
And that's kind of what Phoenix needs. Funny enough, like Bol is now getting starts on the Phoenix Suns, which is just hilarious. Like, and he's actually been like his numbers are actually pretty good.
yeah,
And it gotta love that for Bol. Just pretty entertaining player. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, this
this
team is
yeah,
the team is not good. There
th-
when you build a team, like you have to start from the top down in the NBA. Like your stars have to embody the rest of the team. Like when you build around two like guys that do the same thing, it just doesn't work. Like
mhm,
there's like yes, Kevin Durant's 7 foot and really that differentiate him, but Bradley Beal and Devin Booker are worse and better versions of the same player. Um, Kevin Durant is like yes, he can do other things and he's a pretty good all around player, but he's a old player now, and still his best thing is getting buckets. Like, there's just not a lot of there's something elite about this team. Like we kind of talked about, there's something they hang a hat on, and they're just not that good. Like I nothing scares me about them on a day to day like night. I don't know.
But
They're just
they
mid.
they
They're not even
stink.
mid. They're just bad.
They stink. They're that's a team to watch for shipping out stars this summer. They're gonna have to make a decision on whether they want to blow this team up and try to get some capital back. That's the thing though, is that like they really don't need to blow their team up because they literally don't own any like they need to blow their team up but still try to win. That's their thing, is because they don't own any of their own draft picks,
It's
really.
hard to do. Very hard to
Yeah.
do.
So that team needs that team. I mean, you gave up so many assets for Bradley Beal, who is now a negative asset. You're going to have to attach assets to Bradley Beal's contract to ship him out. That's just horrible, horrible general managing. It's that's worse than Nico Harrison. Like it's bad. Like Nico's an idiot, but that's worse than Nico Harrison GMing. You're definitely going to have to get some type of capital for Kevin Durant this summer if that team wants to have any type of hope for the future. Or you're going to have to ship out Devin Booker. One of the two, you're going to have to try to get some capital for that team. They don't really have like all the any young guys either. That's like Ryan Dunn's pretty good, but like they don't have any young guys that's like, oh, we can build with that guy in the future. Just a bad team.
Yeah,
Didn't we?
my heart goes out for Devin Booker, man. That's just
Yeah. I mean,
complete
could
prime, just wasted due to front office ineptitude. You hate to see it.
you could have been sitting with Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, DeAndre, and D-Book right now and be a pretty dang good team in the West.
Oh, isn't that a crazy thought? What happened to that finals team, man?
The Mavericks, Luca. But the yeah, so Suns stink. What was your second, or what was your team?
I had the Houston Rockets here.
I did too. That was my second team.
Yeah. First
It's
off, like
so
I
weird.
yeah,
They
like
went on a
and
rampage against good teams on that East Coast trip.
I
On a
know,
rampage.
and then they came back, and you look up and they're 4-6 in their last 10, like dropping games to the Nets, losing to Dallas, like
They
losing
got
to
dominated by Dallas
Minnesota,
until AD and PJ went out. Like absolutely thoroughly dominated.
lost to the Knicks, like two losses to Brooklyn. Like it's just been a brutal stretch. Like yes, they are a little bit like obviously everybody knows Jabari Smith's been out for a while
Fred
now.
VanVleet's been out.
Fred's been hurt. Um,
Tari Eason's I know
but
is has been out.
I think they just kind of came back to earth a little bit in kind of the worst way. Just tough stretch of the season. Jalen Green's
Yeah.
kind of hot streak is far from over. Um, and they're kind of they don't really know who their best player is, and so it's kind of like this like weird thing. Like, is it Amon Thompson? Is it Jalen Green? Is it Alperen Sengun? Like, everybody's kind of got their own opinion on that. Like, I would probably lean
Yeah.
Alperen Sengun right now, but like, I
And
don't
then
even know.
like there's sometimes you can't even play Alperen Sengun in the clutch time. Like
Yeah,
it's that bad. This team has a lot of figuring out to do the last couple months of the season.
yeah, just and I think they kind of overshot their rebuild and kind of like announced themselves like a little bit early. Like, let's not forget, like Fred VanVleet is still one of the worst contracts in the NBA. Like, you're paying that guy $44 million.
Yeah.
Um, like they
Mhm.
kind of rushed it a little bit. I think the Dylan Brooks signing was fine, but they've been overshooting their success for a little while. I don't
Yeah.
know if this is more of like just a regress back to a mean like where they should be, or more of just like a good team that's fallen off. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
I
saying?
mean, that it's they might have done a little bit of harm to themselves by signing Fred VanVleet and then drafting a guy like Reed Shepard and then throwing him on the bench and just killing his confidence. And now, you know, I wouldn't be shocked to see a Reed Shepard go to the Phoenix Suns along with some draft capital and, maybe a Jabari Smith or somebody like that to the Suns for a Devin Booker in the near future, in the future at some point, if they really want to go all in. I think that the Rockets are going to see in the playoffs this year that roster's not good enough to really do any damage, real damage. and they're gonna have to make a move for an A1 type of guy or another star. But just disappointing. They've just lost some really against some really bad teams, and they've kind of just come down to earth after that. That East Coast road trip kind of it got our attention. They're beating some good
Everybody's
teams.
attention. Yeah. Um, I don't know. It's just interesting the way that's developing. Definitely a
Mhm.
team I'm gonna be interested to see how they perform in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think their ceiling is the second round. And I would not be surprised if they lose in the first round. So yeah, just be interesting to see what happens with them.
Mhm.
What's your third dropper?
I chose the Spurs. Um, 3-7 in the last 10. Obviously, you now get they're doing everything right. That's the one thing I will say about the Spurs is they're really patient with this. Um, I think that we were kind of waiting for a nice little push from them. And we're still kind of waiting for it at some point this season with De'Aaron Fox and Wemby, and that team is good enough to win a lot of games, um, especially against some of the lower teams. But like we expected this team to be hovering around, I expected them at least to be around the 9-10. I kind of wanted to see them in the play-in this year, but they're just not playing good basketball as of late. They're still kind of figuring out things with Wimby where they want to get him the ball in certain spots. But that team was able to keep Devin Vassell and Stephon Castle and get De'Aaron Fox. So there's nothing against the general managing. They're just taking a little bit longer than what I would personally like to see. I want to see Wimby in the in a playoff
Yeah,
type environment.
I would. Yeah, I'm excited to just watch Wemby in the All Star game. To be honest,
Yeah.
I he's must see TV. This team is must see TV. I think for the rest of the regular season, just to see how they finish. Like,
That's the big thing.
whether they try to win and make the play in or not. Like, I think it could be value. When we made the play in 2022, yes, we didn't make the postseason, but like Shea got that taste of what it was like
Mhm.
in that playoff environment. Like we played the Minnesota Timberwolves and got our butt kicked, but it just makes you more hungry and it makes you want it a little
Yeah.
bit more. And you kind of like get that bad taste in your mouth going into the offseason, Like I would love to see them make the play in just to give that to Wemby. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they finish. But yeah, they dropped games to Orlando and Charlotte, even with De'Aaron Fox making that move. So they still have a lot of figuring out how this team's going to
Mhm.
work. I've seen a lot of questions about their head coach right now. So
Yep.
like the lineups he's running. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think that's a team that you got to watch the rest of the season, sort of see what happens, see if they can make a push. I think there's possibility there at the 9-10 with Sac and Golden State right now. Like it definitely there's a chance. So we'll
Yep.
see what happens with them. And my third dropper I had was the Orlando Magic. Um,
Mhm.
just hasn't really translated for Paulo Banchero when he's come back from injury yet. Like he was playing at an outstanding level. I mean, he had 50
Oh.
points in the game at the beginning of the season, and it's
Mhm.
just kind of not really been the same since he's came back. And yes, this team is still incredibly injured for the rest of the season. But it's just they haven't found it yet, and it's been hard to sort of watch. Like they're just not that good of a team. I don't know.
That they're playing some young guys that normally probably wouldn't play on this roster, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then obviously you have some major injuries to like Mo Wagner meant a lot to this team. Energy wise, experience wise, physicality wise. This team is a team that needs to hang their hat on defense just because of how huge they are. They just aren't great defensively. And then obviously Paulo hasn't been playing at the caliber level that he has at when he was just absolutely, ravaging the league in the beginning of the year. So, health issues, hopefully will they can get some stuff figured out over the All-Star break, but um yeah, pretty disappointed in this team. I really wanted to see them take that next step. Um, but we haven't seen it. I was expecting them to kind of do what Houston did this year, take a little bit of a step, being that upper echelon record wise in the East.
Yeah.
But Just injuries, man.
Yeah, and like you know what you're gonna get at a Goga Patas day every night,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, he's limited in what he
Yeah.
gives you, right? And yeah, I mean, Mo Wagner just was kind of a spark plug for this team, and now they just don't really have that kind of guy. I mean, it's kind of been Anthony Black recently. I mean, he's picked it up, but I mean, outside of that, like
Just young
we
guys.
just don't have a
Too
lot
many
of
young guys.
dynamic playmaking off the bench or really at all.
Yeah.
Um,
You go
so
pay a guy
Cole
like
Anthony's had an up
KCP
and
and
down
yeah.
season. Like KCP, obviously he's not dynamic with the ball, so
Yeah.
it's just been tough. Their
Mhm.
offense has just been horrible, to be quite
Yeah.
honest. So, um, but yeah, that's our three droppers going to the All Star break. So fantastic time in the NBA. Both I will say my team has plenty of representation in the All Star break, so I'm excited to tune into that. Obviously, the Dallas Mavericks have Kyrie, so be fun to watch.
Hmm.
I'm not super hot in the All Star break just because I think they destroyed the format, and the format's a disgrace
Yeah.
to the past. But Wemby said he's really going to go all out this year. So there's some different elements to watch. Should be
Yeah.
entertaining at the very least. So I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm more excited to not watch my team play for a week. So that'll be nice. That
Yeah,
seeing them rest would be fantastic. So
yeah.
mm,
So, but yeah, another good episode of the Basketball Buddies Pod. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Shout us out on X, Instagram, TikTok, all those platforms. We love responding to y'all. We love talking to y'all. We love talking ball. So until next time, have a good one.